The stars were cold and endless, but Princess Hana had never felt more alive. She sat alone in the small ship, watching Earth grow larger through the window. The blue planet was beautiful. It was also forbidden. Her mother, Queen Yuna, had made the law very clear. No one from the Sarath Empire could visit Earth. No one could speak to humans. No one could even study them too closely. Humans were dangerous, the Queen said. They were violent and unpredictable. They were like wild animals that had somehow learned to build cities and fly ships. But Hannah did not believe everything her mother said. She had read the secret reports. She had seen the videos that the scouts brought back. Yes, humans fought wars. Yes, they could be cruel. But she also saw them laugh. She saw them cry. She saw them hold their children and sing songs and create beautiful art. How could such creatures be only monsters? She had to see for herself. The ship shook suddenly. Warning lights flashed red across the control panel. Hannah grabbed the controls, but something was very wrong. The engine was failing. Smoke filled the small cabin. No, she whispered. The ship fell toward Earth like a dying star. Hannah tried everything she knew, but the ground came too fast. She closed her eyes and thought of home, of her sister Myrae, of the gardens where she played as a child. Then, everything went black. Do-hyun was walking home from his workshop when he saw the fire in the sky. At first, he thought it was a meteor. Then he saw the shape of it, the way it moved, the way it tried to slow down before hitting the ground. It was a ship, an alien ship. He should have run away. Any smart person would have run away. The Sarath Empire had bombed Earth 15 years ago. They called it an observation mission, but millions of people died. Do-han's parents died. His little sister died. He was only 12 years old, hiding in a basement, listening to the world burn above him. He had every reason to hate the aliens. Every reason to let whoever was in that ship die. But Do-hyun was not that kind of man. He ran toward the crash site. The ship had torn a long path through an old field outside Neo-Seoul. Smoke rose from the wreckage. Fire licked at the broken metal. Do-hyun covered his face with his jacket and climbed into the ship. Inside, he found her. She was not human. Her skin had a faint silver shine to it. Her ears were slightly pointed. Her blood, leaking from a cut on her head, was a deep purple color. But she was also young. She was also hurt. She was also alone. Do-hyun did not think. He lifted her carefully and carried her out of the burning ship. He ran until they were far away, until the ship exploded behind them in a ball of orange flame. He looked down at the alien girl in his arms. She was breathing. That was good. What am I doing? He asked himself. But he already knew the answer. He was doing what any good person would do. He was saving a life. Hannah woke up slowly. Her head hurt. Her body felt heavy. She was lying on something soft, and there was a warm light above her. She opened her eyes and saw a ceiling made of old wood. She turned her head and saw a small room filled with tools and machine parts. She smelled oil and metal and something cooking. Where was she? She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her body. She made a small sound, and suddenly someone was there. It was a human, a male. He had dark hair and tired eyes and hands that were rough from work. He held a cup of water and looked at her with an expression she did not understand. "Easy," he said. "You are hurt. Do not move too fast." Hannah stared at him. She understood his words because she had learned the human languages as a child. She was good at languages, but she could not understand why he was helping her. "You saved me?" she asked. He nodded. "Your ship crashed. I pulled you out. Why?" The human looked confused by the question. "Because you were dying. But I am Sareth. My people, we hurt your world. The human's face changed. Something dark passed through his eyes. Pain. Old pain. Yes, he said. You did. Then why save me? He was quiet for a long moment. Then he set the water down next to her and said, Because you are not your empire. You are just a person who needed help. Hannah did not know what to say. In her world, such thinking was weakness. The strong ruled. The weak served. You did not help your enemies. You destroyed them. But this human had saved her life. He had carried her from the fire. He had cleaned her wounds and given her a bed. And now he was offering her water. My name is Doyen, he said. I am Hannah, she replied. He smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. That is a Korean name. It means flower. I know. I chose it myself when I learned your language. Dohyun sat down on an old chair near the bed. Why were you coming to Earth, Hannah? Your people are not supposed to be here. She looked at the ceiling. I wanted to see. I wanted to know if humans were really as terrible as my mother says. And what do you think now? Hannah looked at him, at his kind eyes, at his rough hands, at the small room where he lived alone with his tools and his machines. I think my mother was wrong, she said. The next few days were strange and wonderful for Hannah. She could not move much because of her injuries, so she watched Do-yoon work. He was a mechanic. He fixed things that other people threw away. Old machines, broken engines, damaged tools. He made them work again. People came to his workshop. Poor people. People who could not afford new things. Do-yoon helped them all. Sometimes they paid with money. Sometimes they paid with food. Sometimes they could not pay at all, and Do-yoon helped them anyway. Why do you do this? Hannah asked one evening. Do-yoon was cooking dinner. Something simple with rice and vegetables. He shrugged. Because they need help. Because I can help. Is there another reason needed? On her world, yes. Everything needed a reason. Everything was a transaction. You gave something to get something. That was how power worked. But Do-yoon did not seem to care about power. He cared about people. An old woman came one afternoon. Her name was Grandmother Suk, and she had a broken heating unit. Winter was coming, and she could not afford a new one. Do-yoon fixed it for free. He even walked her home to make sure it worked properly. When he came back, Hannah was sitting up in bed, staring at him. What? He asked. You are very strange, she said. He laughed. It was the first time she heard him laugh. It was a warm sound. Maybe, he said, but I sleep well at night. Hannah thought about the nobles of her empire. They slept in beds made of starlight and silk. But she knew many of them had nightmares. Many of them took medicines to calm their minds. Many of them were empty inside, even though they had everything. Do-hyun had almost nothing, but he was at peace. That night, Hannah made a decision. She did not want to go home. She wanted to stay here in this small workshop with this strange and kind human. But the universe had other plans. On the 5th day, Do-hyun came back from the market with fear on his face. Hannah, he said, there are ships in the sky. Sareth ships. They are searching for something. Hannah's heart went cold. They are searching for me. If they find you here, they will kill you, Hannah said. They will kill any human who has seen me. Do-hyun nodded slowly. He did not look surprised. He looked sad, but not surprised. Then we need to run, he said. No, you need to run. I will give myself up. I will not let you die because of me. Do-hyun shook his head. I am not leaving you alone. You do not even know me. I know enough. Hannah wanted to argue. She wanted to tell him he was being foolish. But when she looked into his eyes, She saw something she had never seen before. Courage. Real courage. Not the courage of soldiers who fight for glory. Not the courage of nobles who risk nothing. The courage of a simple man who would face death for a stranger because it was the right thing to do. "Why?" she whispered. Do-hyun took her hand. His skin was warm. "Because you asked me why I saved you," he said. "The answer is still the same. You are a person who needs help, and I can help." Outside, the alien ships grew closer. The hunt had begun, but Do-hyun was not afraid. And for the first time in her life, Hana began to understand what it truly meant to be brave. The Seraph ships moved across the sky like dark birds hunting their prey. Their lights cut through the night, searching every corner of Neo-Seoul. Do-hyun watched them from the window of his workshop and knew that time was running out. Hana stood beside him. Her wounds were still healing, but she was strong enough to walk now. Her silver skin seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. "How many soldiers will they send?" Do-hyun asked. "For a princess?" "At least 50. Maybe more." Do-hyun looked at her. "You are a princess?" Hana lowered her eyes. "I should have told you. I am the youngest daughter of Queen Yuna. That is why they are searching so hard. That is why they will kill anyone who has seen me." Do-hyun was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed softly. "What is funny?" Hana asked. "Nothing. I just realized I have been feeding soup to royalty." Despite everything, Hana smiled. "Your soup was very good. It was from a can. Still good." The moment passed quickly. Outside, the ships grew closer. Do-hyun grabbed his old bag and started filling it with supplies. Water, food, a knife, a small first aid kit. "What are you doing?" Hana asked. "We cannot stay here. We need to move. Don, listen to me. If you come with me, you will die. These soldiers are not like your human armies. They are faster, stronger, and they do not feel mercy. You should run away. Hide. Forget you ever met me. Don, stop packing." He turned to face her. "Hana, 15 years ago, your people dropped bombs on this city. I was 12 years old. I hid in a basement while my family died above me. I heard my mother calling my name. I heard my little sister crying. And I could do nothing." Hana felt tears forming in her eyes. "I am so sorry. I am not telling you this for your apology. I am telling you this so you understand. I have already lost everything once. I have already been helpless once. I will not be helpless again. Not when I can do something. But why help me? After what my people did to you." Do-hyun walked closer to her. He was not much taller than her, but in that moment, he seemed like a giant. "You are not your empire," he said. "People are more than where they come from. I believe that. I have to believe that. Otherwise, what is the point of anything?" Hana had never met anyone like him. In her world, everyone carried hate like a weapon. Old grudges lasted for centuries. Wars continued for generations because no one could forgive. But this human, this simple mechanic who had lost everything, chose to forgive, chose to help, chose to be kind. "You are a strange man, Do-hyun," she said. "So people keep telling me. Now come. We need to move." They left through the back of the workshop and entered the old tunnels that ran beneath Neo-Seoul. Do-hyun knew these tunnels well. He had played in them as a child. He had hidden in them during the bombing. "Where are we going?" Hana asked. "There is a human resistance group. They have been fighting against the Sarath observation posts for years. They have ships. Maybe they can help you get off Earth. A resistance group? Are you part of it?" "No, but I know people who are. My friend Taiwu joined them after his wife was killed in a raid. They moved through the darkness for hours. The tunnels were cold and wet, and strange sounds echoed from far away. Hannah was not used to such places. On her world, everything was clean and bright and perfect. But Do-hyun moved with confidence. He knew every turn, every hidden path, every dangerous spot. He helped Hannah climb over broken walls and cross flooded sections. "You are very capable," Hannah said. "I am just a man who knows his home. On my world, they say humans are weak, that you break easily, that you are not worth consideration." Do-hyun smiled in the darkness. "We do break easily, but we are also very good at putting ourselves back together." Suddenly, Do-hyun stopped. He held up his hand for silence. Hannah froze. Voices ahead. Speaking in Seraph language. Soldiers. Do-hyun pulled Hannah into a small side tunnel. They pressed against the wall, barely breathing. 3 Seraph soldiers walked past them. They were tall and beautiful, with silver skin like Hannah's, but their eyes were cold and empty. "The princess was seen in this sector," one of them said. "Find her. Kill any humans who might have seen her face." "Understood." The soldiers moved on. Do-hyun and Hannah waited until the footsteps faded completely. "They are close," Hannah whispered. "Then we need to be faster." They ran through the tunnels. Hannah's legs burned with pain, but she did not stop. Do-hyun held her hand and guided her through the darkness. Finally, they reached a dead end. But Do-hyun pushed against a section of wall, and it swung open like a door. Behind it was a small room filled with old supplies. "Wait here," Do-hyun said. "I need to check if the exit is clear." He left before Hannah could argue. She sat down on an old box and tried to catch her breath. Her heart was beating so fast. She was scared, but not for herself. She was scared for Do-hyun. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. Hannah grew more worried with each moment. She was about to go looking for him when she heard sounds of fighting. She ran toward the noise and found Do-hyun facing 3 Seraph soldiers. They had cornered him in a narrow passage. He had only his knife. "Human," one soldier said, "you will tell us where the princess is. Then you will die quickly. Refuse, and you will die slowly." Do-hyun gripped his knife tighter. "I have a third option." He attacked. Hannah had never seen a human fight before. She had heard they were violent, but she had never understood what that meant. Now she understood. Do-hyun moved like water and struck like fire. He was not as strong as the soldiers. He was not as fast. But he was clever and desperate and absolutely unwilling to give up. He ducked under the first soldier's blow and stabbed him in the leg. The soldier screamed and fell. Do-hyun grabbed the soldier's weapon and used it to block the second soldier's attack. The third soldier tried to grab him from behind, but Do-hyun threw himself backward, slamming the soldier into the wall. He spun and hit the second soldier across the face with the stolen weapon. It was brutal. It was messy. It was not elegant at all, but when it was over, 3 Seraph soldiers lay on the ground, and Do-hyun was still standing. He was bleeding from several cuts. His breathing was heavy, but he was alive. Hannah ran to him. "Do-hyun, are you hurt badly?" "I have had worse," he said, but she could see the pain in his eyes. "You fought 3 of them." 3 Seraph soldiers. "That should not be possible." Do-hyun smiled weakly. "Your people are strong, Hannah, but you have never been hungry. You have never been desperate. You have never had to fight for every single day of your life. Humans have. That makes us different." He stumbled, and Hannah caught him. She held him up with all her strength. "Now we are even," she said. "You carried me from the fire. I will carry you from here. I am too heavy. I am stronger than I look." They moved together, supporting each other. The exit was close now. Hannah could see light ahead, but before they could reach it, an alarm began to ring. More soldiers would come soon. "Faster," Do-hyun said. They burst out of the tunnels and found themselves in an old warehouse district. The air was cold and fresh after the tunnels. Rain was starting to fall. "The resistance base is in the old factory," Doyen said. "That building there, with the red door." They ran through the rain. Behind them, Hana heard shouting. The soldiers had found their fallen comrades. The red door opened just as they reached it. A tall man with a scarred face looked at them with surprise. "Doyen, what are you doing here? And who is?" He stopped when he saw Hana's silver skin. His eyes went hard with hate. "You brought a Seraph here?" "She's not an enemy, Taiwu. Please, we need help." Taiwu raised his weapon. "Give me one reason not to kill her right now." Hana stepped forward. "Kill me, if you must. But let Doyen live. He risked everything to save me. He fought your enemies. He's a good man." Taiwu looked at Doyen. "Is this true?" Doyen nodded. "She is different, Taiwu. I know how it sounds. But she is not like the others. Please, trust me." For a long moment, no one moved. The rain fell harder. Soldiers shouted in the distance. Finally, Taiwu lowered his weapon. "Get inside. Both of you. We will talk about this later." They entered the base. The door closed behind them. Hana looked at Doyen. His face was pale from blood loss, but he was smiling. "I told you," he said. "I know people." Hana laughed despite everything. It was a strange sound in such a dark place. But it felt right. For the first time since she came to Earth, she did not feel alone. She had found something she never expected to find on this forbidden world. She had found someone worth fighting for. The resistance base was cold and dark, but it was safe. Doyen lay on a small bed while a doctor wrapped his wounds. Hana sat beside him, watching every movement with worried eyes. "He will live," the doctor said. "Humans are tough. Stupid, but tough." "Thank you," Hana said. The doctor looked at her with suspicion, then left without another word. Hana understood. She was the enemy here. Her people had killed the families of everyone in this base. She had no right to expect kindness. But Doyen looked at her and smiled. "Stop worrying," he said. "I have been hurt worse falling off my roof." "You fell off a roof?" "I was fixing it. The old tiles broke. And you did not get help?" "I could not afford help. So I fixed it myself." Hana shook her head. "Your people are very stubborn. We prefer to call it determined." The door opened and Taiwu entered. His face was serious. Behind him were several other resistance leaders. They all looked at Hana with hard eyes. "The soldiers outside have increased their search," Taiwu said. "They know we are in this area. They are offering rewards for information about the princess." "How big?" someone asked. "Enough to buy a small city." The room went quiet. Hana felt fear crawling up her spine. These people had every reason to hand her over. Every reason to take the reward. Every reason to hate her. Doyen sat up despite his wounds. "No one in this room will betray her." "You cannot speak for everyone, Doyen. I can speak for myself. And I say she stays with us, protected." "Why?" Taiwu demanded. "Why risk our people for one of them?" "Because she's not one of them. She came to Earth alone, against her mother's orders, because she wanted to see if humans were really monsters. She crashed her ship trying to land safely. I found her, Taiwu. I saved her. And in return, she could have commanded those soldiers to spare her and kill me. She did not. She offered herself to protect me." The leaders looked at each other. Some faces softened. Others remained hard. Hana stood up. "I know you have no reason to trust me. I know my people have caused you great pain. But I am not here as a princess of the Seraph Empire. I am here as someone who has seen the truth. Humans are not monsters. You are survivors. You are fighters. You are beautiful. She looked at Dohyun. One of you saved my life when he had every reason to let me die. He carried me from fire. He fed me. He protected me. If that is what humans are, then everything I was taught is a lie. The room was silent for a long moment. Finally, an older woman spoke. Her name was Grandmother Yin-hee, and she had lost 3 sons in the bombing. I have hated the Seraph for 15 years, she said. I have dreamed of revenge every night. But looking at this girl, I see someone who is lost. Someone who is searching for something. I know that feeling. I felt it after my sons died. She walked to Hana and took her hands. You may stay with us, child. But know this, trust is earned slowly and lost quickly. Do not make us regret this kindness. Hana bowed her head. I will not. I promise. Days passed. Hana learned to live among the humans. She helped with cooking and cleaning. She used her knowledge of Seraph technology to improve the Resistance's equipment. Slowly, some people began to accept her, but her heart grew heavier each day. She knew she could not stay here forever. The Seraph Empire would never stop searching for her. As long as she was on Earth, everyone around her was in danger. One night, she found Dohyun on the roof of the base, looking at the stars. You should be resting, she said. I could not sleep. Hana sat beside him. The night was cold, and she could see her breath in the air. I need to leave, she said. I need to go home. If I surrender myself to my mother, maybe she will stop hunting for me. Maybe she will leave Earth alone. Dohyun was quiet for a moment. And what will happen to you? I will be punished. Locked away, probably. My mother does not forgive disobedience. That does not sound like much of a life. It is better than watching you die because of me. Dawn turned to look at her. In the starlight, his eyes were deep and warm. Hana, I have spent most of my life alone. I have no family. I have few friends. I fix machines because they do not leave. They do not die. They do not disappoint. He took her hand. But meeting you, something changed. I do not want to go back to being alone. I do not want you to go to some prison and forget that you ever felt free. Hana felt tears forming. What are you saying? I am saying that I want to come with you. Wherever you go, I want to be there. That is impossible. You are human. My mother would never allow. I do not care what your mother allows. Hana laughed despite her tears. You are crazy. Probably. They sat together in silence, hands still holding. The stars above them were the same stars that shone over the Seraph Empire. The same stars that had watched 1,000,000 wars and 1,000,000 loves. There is a way, Hana said slowly. A way that even my mother cannot break. Tell me. In my culture, there is an ancient ceremony called soul binding. It is a marriage so sacred that no force in the universe can undo it. Once bound, 2 people are linked forever. Not even death can separate them. Dohyun smiled. Are you asking me to marry you? Hana's face turned red. I am explaining the law, because I accept. You. What? I accept. I will marry you, Hana, if you will have me. Hana stared at him. You do not understand. This is not just a ceremony. It is eternal. Your soul will be connected to mine. When I die, a part of you will die too. When you die, you will feel it. I know. You told me your people live for thousands of years. I will be gone in maybe 50 more years. You will carry that pain for eternity. Yes, Dohyun squeezed her hand. Then, let me give you 50 years of happiness to remember during that eternity. Let me give you something worth carrying. Hana could not speak. No one had ever offered her something like this. No one had ever loved her enough to sacrifice everything. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I will marry you. Hana contacted her sister Mireille through a secret channel. Mireille was shocked but not entirely surprised. I always knew you would do something dramatic, Mireille said. But marrying a human? Mother will destroy entire planets in her anger. She cannot destroy our bond. The soul binding is sacred. I know. That is why I will help you. I have a ship hidden in orbit. I can come to Earth and perform the ceremony myself. You would do that for me? Mireille smiled. You are my baby sister. I would do anything for you. 3 days later, Marie's ship landed in secret. She came alone, carrying the ancient items needed for the soul binding. The ceremony was held in a small room in the resistance base. Only Taiwu and grandmother Yinhe attended as witnesses from the human side. They did not fully understand what was happening, but they understood enough. Mireille spoke the ancient words. Hana and Do-hyun held hands while light wrapped around them. Do-hyun felt something strange, like a door opening in his heart. Suddenly, he could feel Hana, not just see her, but truly feel her. Her joy, her fear, her love. It is done, Mireille said. You are bound, forever. Hana looked at Do-hyun with new eyes. She could feel his heart beating in rhythm with her own. She could feel his warmth, his courage, his endless kindness. Hello, husband, she said. Hello, wife, he replied. They kissed, and for that moment, nothing else existed. But outside that small room, the universe was already changing. News of the marriage spread faster than light. The princess of Sareth had married a human. The daughter of Queen Yuna had chosen a creature from a forbidden world. Within hours, every empire in the galaxy was talking about it. And in the throne room of the Sareth home world, Queen Yuna received the news. Her face did not change, but the air around her turned cold enough to freeze fire. Bring me my daughter, she said, and bring me this human who dares to touch her. The galaxy held its breath. The storm was coming, and in the center of that storm, Do-hyun and Hana stood together, hand in hand, ready to face whatever came next. Are you scared? Hana asked. Do-hyun looked at her and smiled. Terrified, he said, but I would not have it any other way. The throne world of the Sareth Empire was called Eternal Star. It was a planet of glass towers and silver gardens, where the sky was always painted in colors that had no names in human language. Everything was beautiful. Everything was perfect. Everything was cold. The Don stood at the window of Marie's ship and looked at the approaching planet. He had seen many things in his life, but nothing like this. Scared yet? Mireille asked, standing beside him. I was scared the moment I agreed to this. That has not changed. Mireille smiled. She had grown to like this human over the past few days. He was not like the creatures her people described. He was quiet and thoughtful, and braver than many soldiers she had known. My mother is not kind, Mireille said. She has ruled for 10,000 years. She has destroyed entire civilizations. She does not understand love or mercy or forgiveness. Sounds like a wonderful mother-in-law. Mireille laughed. It was a strange sound on a ship heading toward possible death. Hana entered the room. She wore formal Sareth clothing now, beautiful robes of silver and white. But her eyes were worried. We will arrive soon, she said. Dawn, there is still time. We can drop you on a neutral planet. You can hide. My mother's anger is with me, not you. Do-hyun turned from the window. He walked to Hana and took her hands. I told you before. Where you go, I go. That is what marriage means. But if she decides to kill you, then I will die standing beside my wife. There are worse ways to go. Hana felt tears in her eyes. She had felt his emotions through their bond since the soul binding. She knew he was afraid. She also knew he would never leave her. You stubborn, foolish, wonderful man, she whispered. I love you too, he replied. The ship landed in the grand courtyard of the royal palace. Soldiers lined both sides, their weapons ready. Nobles watched from balconies above, whispering behind their hands. Hannah walked first, head held high. Do-hyun walked beside her. Mireille followed behind. The doors to the throne room were taller than any building Do-hyun had seen on Earth. They swung open silently, revealing a hall of impossible beauty. The floor was made of crystal that showed galaxies swirling beneath. The ceiling was so high it seemed to touch the stars themselves. And at the far end, on a throne of pure light, sat Queen Yun. She was beautiful. She was terrifying. Her skin was perfect silver, her eyes were like diamonds, and her presence filled the entire room like a weight pressing down on everyone. She was 10,000 years old, and every year showed in the power radiating from her body. Daughter, Queen Yuna said. Her voice was soft, but it echoed through the hall. You have returned. Hannah bowed low. I have, mother, and you have brought something with you. The queen's eyes moved to Do-hyun. He felt those eyes like physical pressure, like standing in front of a star and feeling its heat. He did not bow. The court gasped. Whispers exploded from every direction. No one faced the queen without bowing. No one. Queen Yuna stood slowly. She descended from her throne, each step silent and deadly. You do not bow, she said to Do-hyun. I bow to no one except my wife, Do-hyun replied. More gasps. Some nobles looked ready to faint from shock. Queen Yuna stopped in front of him. She was tall, much taller than him, and her eyes burned with cold fire. Who is he? The queen asked, looking at Hannah. Hannah stepped forward. She took Do-hyun's hand and raised her head to meet her mother's gaze, and she smiled. The man I married. The throne room went completely silent. Not a single breath was heard. Queen Yuna's face did not change, but the air around her grew colder. Ice began to form on the crystal floor. You performed the soul binding? She asked. Yes. With a human? A creature that lives barely 100 years? A creature without power, without magic, without anything of worth? Yes, mother. With him. The queen turned back to Do-hyun. She studied him like a scientist studying an insect. Tell me, human, what could you possibly offer my daughter? Your species is nothing. You are weak. You are mortal. You are limited in every way that matters. My daughter could live for another 10,000 years. You will be dust within decades. What can you give her that anyone else cannot? Do-hyun felt fear trying to break through his control. He pushed it down. He thought of Hannah. He thought of the bond between them. He thought of every moment that had led him here, and he spoke. You are right, he said. I will die long before she grows old. I cannot read minds. I cannot bend starlight. I cannot live forever. By your standards, I am nothing. He paused. The court leaned in to hear. But I can promise her something that none of your nobles can. I can promise her that every single day I have, I will choose her. Not because of duty, not because of politics, not because of ancient law, but because I love her. His voice grew stronger. Your people live forever. You have power beyond my imagination. You have conquered 1,000 worlds. But from what I have seen, you have forgotten what it means to truly live. You exist, but you do not feel. You survive, but you do not love. He looked directly into the queen's eyes. I may be nothing to your empire, but to Hannah, I am everything, and she is everything to me. You can kill me if you want, but you cannot kill what we have. That is ours forever. The throne room was frozen, not from magic, but from shock. No one had ever spoken to Queen Yuna like this. No one had ever dared. The queen stared at Do-hyun for a very long moment. Her face was unreadable. Then she turned to the court. Leave us, she commanded. All of you. The nobles fled without a word. Even the soldiers retreated. Within moments, only Hana, Do-hyun, Mireille, and the queen remained. Queen Yuna walked back to her throne. She sat down heavily, and for just a moment, she looked tired. She looked old. Do you know how long it has been since anyone spoke to me with such honesty? She asked. Her voice was different now, softer, sadder. I imagine it has been a while, Do-hyun said. 3,000 years. Perhaps longer. She looked at her daughters. At Hannah, who stood with such determination. And Mireille, who had helped make this happen. When I was young, the queen said, I loved someone. A common soldier. He had no power, no status, no future. But he made me laugh. He made me feel alive. My mother forbade the match. She said he was not worthy of a princess. Hannah had never heard this story before. What happened? He died. In a war one could have prevented. I have carried that regret for 10,000 years. The queen looked at Do-hyun with new eyes. You remind me of him. Foolish, brave, full of fire that should have burned out long ago. Is that a compliment? Do-hyun asked. I am not sure yet. She stood again and walked down to face them. The marriage cannot be undone. The soul binding is sacred. But I cannot simply accept a human as a prince of my empire. The other houses would rebel. The Galactic Council would use it as an excuse to attack us. Then let me earn my place, Do-hyun said. Give me a chance to prove myself. The queen considered this. There is a trial, she said slowly. The trial of eternity. It was created thousands of years ago to test those who would join the royal family from outside. No non-Seraph has ever attempted it. No non-Seraph has ever survived even the first challenge. Hannah stepped forward. Mother, no. It is too dangerous. It is the only way. If he passes, I will have a reason to accept him. If he fails, he dies, Hannah finished. Yes. Do-hyun squeezed Hannah's hand through their bond. She felt his determination, his love, his absolute refusal to give up. I accept, he said. Do-hyun, no. I accept, he repeated. When do we begin? Queen Yuna looked at him for a long moment. Something like respect flickered in her ancient eyes. At dawn, she said. Prepare yourself, human. The trial of eternity has broken warriors who fought for 1,000,000 years. It will not be kind to a creature of flesh and blood. Nothing in my life has been kind, Do-hyun replied. I have survived anyway. For the first time in a very long time, Queen Yuna smiled. Perhaps, she said, there is more to humans than I thought. She walked past them toward the door. Perhaps? Dawn came too quickly. Do-hyun stood at the entrance of the trial chamber, a massive structure built from stone older than human civilization. Hannah stood beside him, holding his hand so tightly it almost hurt. You do not have to do this, she whispered. Yes, I do. Why? Why must you always sacrifice yourself? Do-hyun turned to face her. In the early light, she was so beautiful it made his heart ache. Because when I was 12 years old, hiding in a basement while my family died, I promised myself something. I promised that if I survived, I would never be powerless again. I would never let fear stop me from doing what was right. He touched her face gently. Loving you is right. Standing beside you is right. And if I have to walk through hell to prove it, then that is what I will do. Hannah kissed him. It was a desperate kiss, full of love and fear and hope. Come back to me, she said. Always. The doors of the trial chamber opened. Do-hyun walked inside alone. The first challenge was called the Chamber of Despair. Do-hyun found himself in darkness so complete that he could not see his own hands. Then the visions began. He saw his mother dying in the bombing. He saw her reaching for him, calling his name. He saw his father trying to shield his sister, both of them consumed by fire. He felt the guilt that had followed him his entire life. The guilt of surviving when they did not. The guilt of hiding when he should have helped them. The visions repeated. Again and again and again. Each time, his family died. Each time, he was helpless. Each time, the pain was fresh and sharp and unbearable. This was the test. The chamber broke people by trapping them in their worst memories forever. Immortal warriors had spent centuries inside, unable to escape their own minds. Do-hyun screamed. He cried. He begged for it to stop. But then he thought of Hannah. He thought of her smile. He thought of her laugh. He thought of their future together. He was not the boy in that basement anymore. He was a man, a husband, a survivor. The past could not change, but the future was still unwritten. Do-hyun focused on that future. He pictured mornings with Hannah. He pictured children with her eyes and his stubbornness. He pictured growing old while she stayed young, and knowing that every day was a gift. The darkness began to crack. Light appeared in the distance. Do-hyun walked toward it. Outside the chamber, the watching nobles could not believe their eyes. The human had broken through the chamber of despair in only 3 hours. Some Sarath warriors took decades. How? One noble whispered. Queen Yuna said nothing, but she leaned forward on her throne, watching more closely now. The second challenge was called the Gauntlet of Worlds. Do-hyun emerged from darkness into a landscape of fire. Volcanoes erupted around him. The ground burned his feet. The air was poison. He ran. The landscape changed. Now he was in a frozen wasteland. The cold cut through him like knives. His blood felt like ice in his veins. He kept moving. Mountains rose before him. He climbed. His fingers bled. His muscles screamed. Rocks fell and broke his ribs. He climbed faster. A river of acid blocked his path. He found stones to jump across. One slipped. His leg plunged into the acid. The pain was beyond anything he had felt before. He pulled himself out and continued. Hours passed. Maybe days. Time had no meaning in this place. Do-hyun's body was broken in 100 ways. He should have been dead many times over. But he would not stop. In the watching chamber, the nobles had fallen silent. They watched this human, this fragile creature of flesh and blood, drag himself across landscapes that had killed immortal warriors. What is he made of? Someone asked. Mireille smiled through her tears. He is made of human. Do-hyun reached the end of the gauntlet. He collapsed on the ground, barely breathing, his body a map of wounds. But he was alive. The third and final challenge had no name. It was simply called The Choice. Do-hyun stood in an empty white space. Before him appeared a figure made of light. When it spoke, it sounded like 1,000 voices at once. Human, you have survived what others could not. But the final test is not about survival. It is about sacrifice. Tell me what I must do. You will be given a choice. Your life, or Hannah's happiness. Do-hyun felt cold fear wash over him. What do you mean? If you choose to live, you will return to Earth. Your marriage will be annulled. Hannah will forget you ever existed. She will marry someone her mother chooses. She will be safe. She will be happy. But she will never remember your love. And if I choose to die, then you die. Now, here. But your memory will remain. Hannah will carry you in her heart forever. She will be allowed to keep the love you shared. But she will also carry the grief of your loss for all eternity. Do-hyun was silent for a long moment. So my choices are, live and let her forget me, or die and let her remember me in pain. Yes, that is not a fair choice. The universe is rarely fair. Do-hyun thought about Hannah. He thought about their bond. He thought about the life they could have had. Then he thought about what life would mean without her. About waking up alone every day. About never seeing her smile, never hearing her laugh, never feeling her presence in his heart. He made his decision. I choose to die, he said. But not because I want to. I choose to die because real love is not about possession. It is about giving the other person everything you have, including the memory of what you shared. If Hannah forgets me, that is not happiness. That is a lie, and I will not make her live a lie. The figure of light was silent. So kill me, Do-hyun continued. Take my life, but do not take our love. That belongs to her. That belongs to both of us. The white space began to dissolve. You have chosen, the voices said. And in choosing, you have passed. What? The final test is selflessness. You were asked to choose between your life and your love. You chose love without hesitation. This is the answer we sought. The light faded. Do-hyun found himself back in the trial chamber. He was still wounded, still broken, still barely alive. But he was alive. The doors opened. Hannah ran to him. She caught him as he fell, holding him in her arms. You did it, she cried. You did it. I always keep my promises, he whispered. Queen Yuna descended from her throne and walked to where Do-hyun lay in Hannah's arms. The entire court watched in silence. In 10,000 years, the queen said, I have never seen anything like what I witnessed today. You faced despair that has broken immortals. You walked through fire and ice and poison. You chose death over betraying your love. She knelt beside him. It was such an unexpected gesture that several nobles actually fell over from shock. I was wrong about humans, she said softly. I thought you were nothing. I thought you were weak and temporary and meaningless. But you have shown me something I have forgotten. What is that? Do-hyun asked. That it is not how long you live that matters. It is how deeply you love. My people have lived for thousands of years, and we have forgotten what it means to feel. We exist, but we do not live. You will die in decades, but you have lived more truly in one day than I have in 10,000 years. She stood and addressed the court. Let it be known throughout the empire. This human, Do-hyun, has passed the trial of eternity. He is worthy. He is accepted. He is now a prince of the Sereth, husband to Princess Hannah, and member of the royal family. The court bowed. Every single noble, every guard, every servant bent their knee to the broken human lying on the floor. Do-hyun managed to smile. Does this mean I get a crown? Hannah laughed through her tears. Yes, you impossible man. You get a crown. 20 years later, Do-hyun stood on a balcony of the royal palace, watching the stars. His hair was gray now. His face had lines that had not been there before. His body moved slower than it used to, but his heart was still full. Hannah joined him. She had not aged a day. She was still as beautiful as the moment he first saw her in that crashed ship. Below them, their children played in the garden. Hybrids of human and Sereth, they carried the best of both species. They would live for centuries, but they had their father's warmth and their mother's grace. Humanity was no longer forbidden. The trial of Do-hyun, as it was now called, had changed everything. Other species began to see humans differently. Slowly, Earth was welcomed into the galactic community, all because one man loved one woman enough to face the impossible. Do you regret it? Hannah asked softly. Marrying someone who will outlive you by eternities? Do-hyun took her hand. His weathered fingers intertwined with her ageless ones. Not for a single second, he said. I got to love you. That is more than most beings ever get in all their endless years. Hannah leaned into him. Through their bond, she felt his contentment, his peace, his absolute joy. "I will miss you," she whispered. "When you are gone, I will miss you for thousands of years. Then remember the good parts. Remember our mornings together. Remember our children's first words. Remember how I burned breakfast every single time I tried to cook." Hana laughed. "You were a terrible cook. The worst." They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the stars spin slowly overhead. Do-hyun had been right all those years ago. He could not give Hana immortality or power or magic. But he gave her something better. He gave her a reason to live. And for an immortal being in a universe of endless time, that was the greatest gift of all. Far below, their youngest daughter looked up and waved. Do-hyun waved back. He was tired. He was old. He was running out of time. But he was happy. And that was enough. That was everything. Love is everything.